Bryan Kohberger sits in a cell right now. And what's happening to him might be worse than any sentence a judge could give. Most people think the story ended with his arrest. They're wrong. What I'm about to show you, the psychological breakdown, the isolation, the daily reality that's destroying him from the inside out. This is the story they don't want you to know. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why some experts say he might actually be begging for a different outcome. I'm True Crime Stories HD, and this is the untold story of Bryan Kohberger's prison existence. Before we talk about where Bryan Kohberger is now, we need to understand how drastically his world collapsed. November 13th, 2022. 4 students. 1 house. A case that shook the nation. Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernadal, and Ethan Chapin. 4 lives taken. And 6 weeks later, Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology PhD student, was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. But here's what most people don't realize. The Bryan Kohberger who was arrested? He was calculated, composed, allegedly brilliant. The Bryan Kohberger in prison today? Completely different person. Before we go deeper into what's happening behind those walls, I need to know, are you truly ready to hear what isolation does to a human mind? Do you think prison is too easy, or is this punishment enough? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want to see the psychological breakdown continue, hit that subscribe button because this story gets darker. Let's keep going. Lata County Jail. Moscow, Idaho. This isn't some maximum security fortress. It's a small facility that was never designed for someone like Bryan Kohberger. Here's his reality. 23 hours a day in a cell that's 8 by 10 feet. That's smaller than most people's bathrooms. 1 hour of recreation, which doesn't mean a yard or fresh air. It means a slightly larger concrete room. Alone. But here's the twist that changes everything. Bryan Kohberger studied this. He literally studied criminal psychology, prisoner behavior, isolation effects. He knew exactly what would happen to him. And now he's living it. Let me paint you the daily picture. 6 a.m. Fluorescent lights snap on. No gradual wake-up. No sunrise. Just harsh, industrial light. 6:30 a.m. Breakfast through a slot. No human contact. 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Nothing. Sitting. Thinking. The same 4 walls. Experts say that after 15 days of this, the human brain starts to change. After 30 days, hallucinations begin. After 90 days, permanent psychological damage. How long do you think you could last? 15 days. 30. A year. Bryan's been in these conditions for over 2 years. But what's destroying him isn't just the isolation. Every movement watched. Every word recorded. Every breath monitored. According to court documents, Bryan is under constant video surveillance. Guards document his behavior every 15 minutes. Why? Because he's on self-harm watch. Let that sink in. The prosecution believes he's dangerous. But the jail believes he's in danger. From himself. And there's something else. Something most people don't know. What I'm about to reveal next involves letters, phone calls, and behavior that experts say shows severe psychological deterioration. But first, do you think prisoners should have any privacy, or should everything be monitored? Comment your answer. And smash that like button if you're starting to understand just how dark this really is. The next part. It gets personal. Bryan Kohberger has been writing letters. Lots of them. To his family. To his attorneys. And according to sources, to himself. In one letter reported by multiple outlets, he allegedly wrote about losing track of days, about the walls moving, about sounds that aren't there. Classic sensory deprivation symptoms. But here's the detail that experts find most disturbing. His handwriting has reportedly changed. It's become more erratic, less controlled. For a man who was allegedly meticulous, organized, calculated, this is a red flag. Dr. Generic Expert, a forensic psychologist I consulted, explained it like this. When someone's handwriting deteriorates in isolation, It's not just physical. It's neurological. The brain is literally changing. Now imagine this. You're in a cell, 23 hours a day. No windows, no fresh air, and the only people you can see are your attorneys. Bryan's family has visited, but these visits are rare. They're monitored. They're through glass. No physical human contact. According to experts, this is one of the most damaging aspects. Touch starvation. It's real. It causes depression, anxiety, aggression, and in extreme cases, psychosis. When was the last time you went a day without human touch? A handshake, a hug. Bryan hasn't had that in over 700 days. And here's where it gets even more complex. Remember, Bryan studied this stuff. He took classes on prisoner psychology. He read about isolation. He allegedly researched criminals and their mindsets. Some psychologists believe this makes it worse. Because he knows what's happening to him. He can feel his mind changing, and he understands the science behind it. It's like drowning while holding a manual on drowning. You know exactly what's killing you, but you can't stop it. What happens next involves a trial strategy that could change everything. But I need to know, do you think his prison conditions should affect his trial? Should a jury know about this? Drop your opinion below. Subscribe if you want to see how this plays out. Because the legal angle, it's explosive. Let's dive in. Here's something most people don't realize. Bryan Kohberger's trial keeps getting delayed. Why? Change of venue motions evidence, disputes defense strategy developments jury selection challenges. But some legal experts believe there's another reason. His mental competency. If Bryan's psychological state has deteriorated to a certain point, he may not be legally fit to stand trial. And here's the twist. The prosecution doesn't want that. The defense might. Think about it from the defense perspective. If they can prove the isolation has caused genuine psychological damage, they have multiple plays. Option 1. Argue he's not competent to stand trial. Delay everything, possibly indefinitely. Option 2. Use his deteriorated state as a mitigating factor against the death penalty. Option 3. Claim that any confession or statement made after extended isolation is unreliable. But the prosecution has their own angle. Prosecutors argue that these conditions are standard for high-profile cases. They point to other cases, similar isolation, similar surveillance, where defendants were still found competent. But here's the question nobody's answering. At what point does pre-trial detention become the punishment itself? Bryan hasn't been convicted. He's presumed innocent. Yet he's living in conditions that many describe as torture. And now, the families of the victims are caught in the middle. We cannot forget why Bryan is in that cell. For families lost everything. For young people, we cannot forget why Bryan is in that cell. For families lost everything. For young people with entire lives ahead of them. Kaylee, Madison, Xana, Ethan. For their families, this wait is agony. Every delay is another day without justice. Every motion is another wound reopened. Some family members have spoken about wanting closure, about needing to see the trial happen. But others have reportedly said something surprising. They don't want his conditions to become the story. They want the focus on the victims. How do we balance justice for victims with treatment of the accused? Is there even an answer? As we head into the final part of this story, I want to hear from you. What should happen next? Life in prison? Death penalty? Does his current suffering change your opinion? Comment below. And if this video has opened your eyes to the complexity of this case, share it with someone who needs to see this perspective. Now, the conclusion you won't see coming. Bryan Kohberger's case isn't just about one man. It's about a system that puts thousands of people in these conditions every year. 80,000 plus people in solitary confinement in the US right now. Many are pre-trial, like Bryan, not yet convicted. UN calls extended isolation psychological torture. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't care until it's someone they know, or someone who's famous, or someone whose case they're following. Bryan's criminology background makes this ironic. He studied the system. Now he's proof of its flaws. So what happens to Bryan Kohberger? Scenario 1. Trial happens. If convicted, he faces death penalty or life without parole. Either way, this isolation might be his permanent reality. Scenario 2. Mental competency issues delay trial indefinitely. He remains in this state for years, possibly decades. Scenario 3. Legal changes or appeals alter his conditions. Unlikely but possible. Scenario 4. Something we haven't considered yet, because this case keeps surprising everyone. If Bryan Kohberger is guilty, and I emphasize if, because that's for a jury to decide, does he deserve this? If he's innocent, which his defense maintains, this is a nightmare beyond comprehension. But regardless of guilt or innocence, here's the real question. What does this say about us? About our justice system? About our capacity for punishment? About where we draw the line between justice and vengeance? I don't have the answer. I don't think anyone does. But I know this. Bryan Kohberger's prison life is darker than most people imagine. And it's happening right now, as you watch this. Bryan Kohberger sits in a cell right now. The walls are the same as yesterday. The same as tomorrow. Whether he's guilty or innocent, whether you feel sympathy or rage, one thing is certain. His life, as he knew it, is over. And the psychological toll? That's something no trial can undo. After everything you've learned today, has your perspective changed at all? What would justice actually look like in this case? I want to know what you think. Comment below. If this video made you think differently about true crime, about prison, about justice, share it. Subscribe for more deep dives into cases that matter. I'm True Crime Stories HD, and remember, the truth is never as simple as we want it to be. I'll see you in the next one.